Hi, fans and friends. Nicole Wilson, Vice President of Economic Development with the Midland Business Alliance. It's my pleasure this morning to be joined by our former Economic Development Strategy Council Chair and good friend, Stacey Gannon. And I guess you hold a different title now.
Yes, I'm officially a retiree, a professional retiree.
Yes. Well, we have so many incredible retirees in our community that continue to give their time, talent, energy, and expertise. And I, for one, am incredibly grateful that you're still here in our community and willing to share some time with me this morning.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. It's always interesting to have a conversation with you. I learn something every time. So
Well,
thank you for inviting me.
Well, I'm excited to continue to learn from you. So thank you. I always start with, what's your why, right? And so you've been in Midland a while.
Since 79.
Yes. So you know this community. So why Midland? Why the path that you chose?
Boy, some of my path, I guess I made all of the choices, right? We all make our own choices, and there's consequences that come with each of them. But I married a Midland boy. And so I was born and raised in Saginaw. I've lived my entire life in the Great Lakes Bay region. Moved to Midland in 79, and I'm still actively engaged in the entire region, and this is my home, and it always will be.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you took a career path in finance.
Banking. I'm an accidental banker. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I surprisingly, I all I ever wanted to do is be a creative of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the late 70s, my mother had some health issues, and I was away at school, and I decided to come home so I could be closer to her and look after her. And I needed a job. And my best friend and college roommate at the time's mother was an executive at a bank, and so she gave me a job. And so I was an accidental banker. I walked in the first day, reported to the president's office, and they gave me a piece of paper and a pencil. Now, mind you, I hated math. I hated anything to do with numbers. I just wanted to be creative. But I could add and I could subtract. So they sat me down at a desk, and they said, you need to call this number and get these figures, get a net number, then call this number, do the same thing. And when you're done, call this number. And if it's a positive number, tell them that we're selling. If it's a negative number, tell them that we're buying. So I did that every day in the president's office, or in the C-suite, as we call it today, right? Mm-hmm. Had no idea what I was doing. I was just following the instructions. And I was basically calculating the Fed funds position for the bank every day and going to the discount window to buy and sell Fed funds, which I look back at that now after having a career in banking and say, that's a crazy job to give an 18-year-old whose previous work was simply building sub sandwiches and being a professional ski instructor. So, but I spent the bulk of my career in banking, loved every minute of it, met some fantastic people, took a couple of
side
paths. Yeah. I spent a couple years out at what is now known as Michigan as a business manager in one of their medical areas. Missed being with customers, so returned to banking. And then when I was at Citizens Bank and working with the board and was community president there and continued on in banking, I was asked actually to do some nonprofit work in Saginaw to help save some community assets. And it was some of the most rewarding work I've ever done, working to really save the Saginaw Art Museum, which is an iconic art institution in this region. And so that was a lot of fun. So I did get my creative side in there.
Yes, absolutely. So I find, leaders in our community take kind of two different paths, right? Either they're filling their day-to-day, what, quote unquote, pays the bills, right? As their passion, or they fulfill their free time with their passion, and work is just a means to allow those things to happen. So for you, it seems like such an incredible balance between those things. Yeah. So kudos to that, because that's hard to achieve.
Well, thank you. It's been I've had a tremendous life. I'm very blessed, and I have no regrets. I've made some poor choices in my life, as we all do, but I've learned from each and every one of them, and I've had an amazing life. I've had the opportunity to meet incredible people, learn from many people, and I'm fortunate to have a very large circle of friends. So I'm very thankful for that.
So in our work together,
yes,
we've had the opportunity to talk everything from, talent attraction and talent development to how are we attracting businesses and how do we strategize around that? And all of that is wonderful work. One of the high points for me has always been how you talk about the succession of this community and how we have such an incredible legacy of great things and great people, and how are we empowering the next generation of leaders? And so that has to come from a place of passion for you. So I'd love to explore that a bit.
Sure. So, I didn't always have confidence, and I didn't always believe I could do certain things, and learned through experience, life's experiences. But, Leadership Midland was a big part of really giving me the confidence back in 1986. But one of the things that I've always believed is that we have to plan for the what ifs, and when I see how things evolve, I've always been somebody who I love to start. I love to be an innovator. I love to start something knowing that part of that process is to build the path for that to carry on. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think leaders are afraid of that. They're afraid to have someone come up with the next best idea, or someone to take the ball and run with it after you've done your part. And, it's interesting. I was in a discussion the other day, a regional discussion, and we talked about the differences between still our Saginaw Bay and Midland County communities and how they're different and what the power of the collective energy would be, right? And as part of that discussion, we talked about succession planning. And as I look at the Midland community, we have been so blessed with, industry and incredibly smart leaders and some really powerful progress. But things change, and we always have to prepare for the future. And I think in today's world, especially with AI and technology and everything pushing forward, it's our responsibility to rely on the people who have the expertise. And our younger generation has grown up with technology and experiences that those from my generation and even a generation, 10, 15 years younger than me, don't have that experience. And we have to capitalize on that. And we have to be willing to let go. And we have to be willing to welcome new ideas and give people chances. And I think, that's one area where, as Midland has evolved, as this community has evolved, we have incredibly talented young people. Like even in my decision to retire, in my mind for the last couple of years has been, who will I trust to carry on and deliver for my clients and do even more for them that I'm not capable of doing? And not being afraid of that. We have to be willing to unleash power and relinquish, and trust that there's somebody next to take it even farther.
Absolutely. And I've always appreciated your trust and belief in me and the work that I do. And it's been incredibly, positive for me.
Yeah.
Back, if I were to go back to my previous roles that I've held in this community, one of those was to coordinate the Midland County Youth Action Council with the Midland Area Community Foundation. Shout out to my yackers. Still, some of you still around. Was an incredible experience in that we have an incredibly brilliant group of young people in this community, and the things that they would challenge me on or question me on or their perspectives they would bring were incredible. I really, really enjoyed that experience. I just got to learn so much from them.
Well, look at our MyPros group.
Absolutely.
Look how big that is.
Yes.
Look at the positions that those young people hold. And the idea, the think tank that's in that group of individuals, those are the people. Those are the people that we should be putting in leadership positions. because they're the ones that are going to carry this community forward and not be afraid of it. Because if we're all honest with ourselves as leaders that, have gone on to retirement and lived fulfilling careers, we made a lot of mistakes and we learned from those mistakes. And we had someone ahead of us that trusted us and helped us along the way, and we need to perpetuate that. And I think, especially in this community, we need to perpetuate that more. I'm excited. I'm so excited about what's going on right now in Midland. I know we're going through change. It's part of the cycle. Our industry and we need to diversify and we need to look for new opportunities. But through the good work of what you're doing, with the MBA, and you do so much that isn't seen, that I have been able to see. And I look at, just even things like just getting the notice that, the city is now, gotten a certification that's gonna allow us from a redevelopment perspective to have a little bit of a leg up. That's been a long time coming. That's exciting. Yes. River Caddis, all these projects that are going on. The focus on housing. I mean, I look at you and I look at Jenna Costa and I look at all these young women who are doing fantastic things, and it just makes my heart full. So, I mean, we have to remain optimistic, and I'm so passionate about youth development, and there are so many young people out there that have fresh and good ideas that never are given the chance, and we have to discover those people, and we have to give them the nurturing they need to be the future leaders.
And giving that space for curiosity being able to take those questions not as criticism or as, youthful, just pondering, but really there are some questions they ask that are pretty fantastic and just different perspectives. So I really appreciated that. So I want to shift a little bit maybe and talk about your kind of transition into leadership and kind of that first, moment stepping into banking. And in leadership, we all come across things that are unanticipated challenges, or how do we navigate, or, man, I really have to level up my skill set. Mm-hmm. And maybe tell me about a time that occurred in your personal or professional life.
Well, I've always liked a challenge, and I've always been a risk taker, I would say. Mm-hmm. Not afraid to fail. But I lacked confidence. Mm-hmm. Of all things, I remember sitting at the desk at Comerica Bank. I was an assistant manager, and that's back when we got the newspaper every day. And I saw an ad in the newspaper about Leadership Midland in 1986. It was going to be the first class. Mm-hmm. And I think it cost $250 to attend. And I thought, I would like to do that, and I did it on my own. It wasn't involved with the bank at all. Okay. It wasn't involved. Mm-hmm. I just thought I would like to do that. And so I had two young children. They were 20. They were two, I think 3 and 1 or something like that. And I did it. And I went to Leadership Midland. I was terrified. Andy Rapp was the host of the, and that was a big hurdle for me to get over, was the confidence. He was the MC, the opening night, and I sat at a table with Donna Morris and Philip Van Dam and, community leaders. And I was terrified, and I had to introduce myself, and I had to get up and say my name. And once I did that, it was all good. And I got over that confidence hurdle. And the first thing was, I got to find a challenge that somebody says you can't do it, and prove that it can be done. And I pursued those opportunities. So really believing in yourself, allowing yourself to take a risk was a big turning point for me coming out of that program. Some of the other challenges I faced were, balancing being a wife and a mother of young children. Sure. And, I was a single mom for a short time. And just being able to learn all that balance, mm-hmm. and take a step back and say, don't take on too much outside of your home, so that you can stay focused on what really matters. Have had challenges, health issues and that type of thing with both myself as a cancer survivor and my husband having recent, issues. So those are the kinds of things that really put things in perspective. But it really, I believe that I live a life of optimism and as a servant, and that makes me healthier and happier, and it makes my family and friends and community happy and healthier by living that life.
Absolutely. So you were talking about earlier on kind of planning for the what if, planning for the, for what we can't anticipate or maybe don't see coming. Mm-hmm. So you have been in this community since 1979.
Yes.
And forever in the region, for your entire life. So maybe think about what is something you kind of foresee on the horizon that we should be thinking about? Is it that, transition of leadership? Is that, what is it for you?
Well, you're tapping into something that I've been having a lot of conversations as a retiree, looking back and looking forward with a lot of good friends. And, one of the things I really think we need to do from a regional perspective is collectively and collaboratively focus on creating efficiency, consolidation. We have to get over these boundaries, because the power of 500,000 people or better working efficiently together is so much greater than us individually trying to take on the world. And I work in education as the chair of the board of trustees at Delta College. Had lunch the other day with Dr. Grant at SVSU, and it's just we look at this region and beyond, and how important we are. This region, you've got the Detroit metro area, you've got Grand Rapids. In the north, you've got Traverse City, but the power and the resources that we have in this region can be very competitive, and from on a global scale. And we have to kind of get over ourselves and say, how can we create efficiency? Even in the nonprofit sector, that's one area that I'm also very passionate about because it plays such an important role. But we have so many duplicative services, and we need to figure out, because from a funding standpoint, that will become challenging, because again, a 500,000 people plus base of donors that can really support all of these entities has a finite, amount of money to give. Sure. So we have to get more efficient, and we have to collaborate and cooperate with each other, and recognize the strengths that each community brings and capitalize on that.
Sure.
And so how do we do that?
Yes. So, as an economic development organization, we have the opportunity to work with our Region 5 team. Right.
We've been leading a lot of, especially on the housing front and everything. Yeah.
So it's a great group of folks. And, we talk about collective strengths and weaknesses all the time. It's our job kind of as economic developers constantly auditing our region as what could we do? What should we be doing? Right. And one of the pieces that Midland sometimes has gotten maybe not the recognition for, or that, Midland's very homogenous, and Midland doesn't have the socioeconomic or cultural diversity that our other communities in Region 5 do. And an experience for me, maybe a year or so ago, I attended for the first time the Cinco de Mayo parade in Saginaw. I guess it's been, 2-3 years now. But at any rate, I was overwhelmed and so excited, and what a cool opportunity. And those are things that, I grew up in Midland. I've been here my entire life and spent plenty of time, in Saginaw, and just really didn't recognize the depth of and the powwow in Isabella County that I attended with my son. My son played lacrosse, and so is a great opportunity to experience that. Yeah. So it really is, I think, capitalizing on the strengths of every community. So absolutely. I really appreciate that, both, culturally and certainly in other ways as well. But we do have such an incredibly rich region. Yes. So as we kind of consider that, right, there, and certainly we've talked about this too, just as a region, the opportunities to collaborate, and what is the barrier, right? And is it ego? Is it territorialism? Is it, you want your community to be the
fear.
best? Fear.
I think it's fear.
Okay. All right.
I think it's fear. I don't,
fear of the unknown, fear of
letting go.
Okay.
Fear of allowing someone else to have the best idea. I mean, it kind of goes back to where we started this conversation.
Sure.
And succession planning, and this is not unlike that. It's like we need to do more listening. We need to do more learning. It's exciting for me to hear you talk about Saginaw. I was born and raised there. I spent my childhood there. I treasure what Saginaw has to offer, and being so familiar with the community. It's a beautiful place that does offer diversity, a lot of history, a lot of beautiful architectural and historical assets that really, are important to this region. When I was at the museum, I became friends with a gentleman from Detroit who I brought up as a curator to help us understand the collection. And I took him to Bay City down Center Avenue. And his expertise is in American art, but architecture. And he was just wowed by, the architecture in Bay City. And, and he's like, this is just a great place, and I said, yeah, it is. And so to hear you talk like that is exciting, and people need to get out and explore. I said, when we were working with the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance on the arts, because we have so many art assets in this region, I said, we should have a wrapper on a bus that is all about the arts, and one Saturday a month, it just goes from Saginaw, Bay, Midland, even Isabella counties, and it just it just loops, and you can take your family. Either we get grants and we make it free, or it's so at $10 your family of four can get into any of these, museums or gardens or history places, because we don't even know what's in our backyard.
True.
And we need to take it upon ourselves and take ownership of getting out there and seeing our surrounding community.
Yes, absolutely.
Explore the region.
Gosh, I think I have pitched this idea several times, but in my previous, my college home, my 10 years on the West Side, maybe a little more than 10 years, there's an event the first Friday of every month called Art Hop.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It is my favorite event still. So, and there are
four
bigger ones.
Right.
And it's everyone walking around and experiencing the community, and businesses invite artists in to share, their works, and there may be some imbibing of beverages, but it's an opportunity for folks to mill around it and really create that sense of community. And you get to know people you don't see in your daily, but meet your business owners. Yeah. Such a cool event. It's my favorite.
I used to pick up, when I was at the museum, I used to pick up the newsletters from the communities of all the, the calendars. And I'd put it out on the board table with my board and say, and people say there's nothing to do around here. When we make decisions about when we want to do things, we really got to look at all this stuff, because there's so much to do. We're distracting people. And so again, I go back to that collaboration and that, like art fair. We all have our art fairs. What if we had one regional art fair week or something? Or just it would attract people, from all over. I mean, look at like a mini World Cup. It's just like to bring people here, and then they go, "Wow, I had no idea."
Right. Absolutely.
A lot of exciting things that are going on. We're fortunate to live in this region, I think. Absolutely. And I think the best is yet to come. It really is.
Absolutely. So for you, what's next? What are you doing in retirement? Are you going to be a professional volunteer and working retiree in that capacity?
I said that I would. I said I'm going to give myself the summer. Mm-hmm. I really thought I'd have a hard time. I really thought I would have a really hard time. And it's been the easiest thing I've ever done. I mean, I'm proud of myself, because I I'm very relaxed. I'm enjoying retirement so far. I'm exploring ideas. I'm still real busy with Delta College. I'll be stepping on as the chair of LEAD, the nonprofit LEAD, in September, and there's a lot of excitement going on there, so that keeps me happy. But I really don't know. My son's getting married in a few weeks, my baby, and so I'm gonna get through that. And that's gonna be an emotional time that I'm really looking forward to. I'm so happy for him, and so I don't know. By fall, I'll probably start exploring opportunities that would be kind of a real challenge for me. But right now, I'm just enjoying friends. I'm exercising a lot, walking a lot, thinking a lot.
Enjoying the region.
Yeah, enjoying my Sanford Lake.
Yes.
Back. Yeah.
Summer on the lake again.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, always a pleasure.
But still involved with MBA as well. So yeah.
We won't let you go.
I don't want to be let go.
Well, as always, it's my pleasure to have this opportunity to catch up and chat and to, bestow the wisdom that you've acquired. And I'm just so grateful.
I've just been a sponge. That wisdom comes from a lot of other people. So I just pass it along when I can. But thank you for having me. Thank you for all the good work you do.
Likewise.
It's amazing.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.